Okay, let's start this over. Hopefully you can hear me now. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Check, check, check. Cool. Awesome. Thanks. Sorry about that. I had some problems with OBS this morning with audio stuff and everything. You know how it is. You start the program up yesterday, it works fine. Started up today, and it just goes to shit. Thanks for telling me, though. I appreciate it. Be kind of annoying just to sit here and talk to myself, although that's pretty much what I do every day anyway. But anyway, all I'm doing is I have this Thermos bottle here, and it's just like thin metal. It works because it's two pieces of metal with a vacuum between it, and that's what actually keeps it isolated from the environment. So it works really well, but the problem is it's kind of fragile. There's no cover to it or anything. So I just want to make sort of like a bumper and a handle. So my idea is just to have like two rings going around, like, you know, here and here with like a handle in it. And I just want to make it real easy, no hardware. So the idea is this lip down here is actually flared ever so slightly. So we're going to slide a ring down here and have it just wedge itself here. The handle is actually going to wedge. There'll be like inclined, you know, planes on this ring and on the handle, and the handle will just wedge in place, and then the top ring will wedge in and hold everything tight, and then we'll just put the lid back on. So that's the idea. Nothing too crazy. I don't really exactly know how I'm going to approach it yet. I've actually made one similar to this in SketchUp like 10 years ago, but I'm just going to kind of goof around today in CAD with it in Fusion 360. So I don't know. Let's get going with that, I suppose. Let me bounce on over to my desktop. Looks like my microphone is turned on there too, so that should be working. Hopefully you can hear me. Anyway, so first thing we need to do is just kind of get an idea of, we need a reference. So I'm just going to make a cylinder that references kind of like the top of where this bulges out and about where the top of my rings, basically the area where my two rings need to be within. So that's simple enough. Actually, let's do components because we're going to have multiple things here. So I'm just going to do a component. You'll have to excuse me. I'm kind of actually still pretty tired this morning. I'm just kind of groggy and goofing around. So let's do a new component here. And we're just going to call this, I will just call it well, what do we just call it? It's reference? No. I don't know. We'll just call it Zoji Rusi. Alrighty. So we're on that in that component. Do a sketch down on the bottom. C for a circle. Just draw it out. Now, how big do I want this sucker to be? It's got my good old calipers here, so I'm just going to measure. Of course, we're working in millimeters because we're a civilized people. So 66.2-ish. And at the bottom, it flares up to about 67. Let me write this stuff down as I work here. It's always good to know. So 66. It varies, of course. Could make it 66.6. That's not. 66.4, 0.5. We want to leave a little bit. $66.8 should be good. And when we're going to 3D print this, so it's going to shrink down a little bit. You usually want to oversize things by a few tenths of a millimeter anyway. And this doesn't need to be a super duper awesome, perfect tight fit, because when we wedge the handle into this, it's going to kind of secure everything in place. So we just want it so that it doesn't, like when we slide on here, it doesn't fall off the bottom. That's really about it. So as long as it's smaller than a little bit of flareness down here, we're good. So we'll do 66.8 should be all right. Cool, cool. Now, how thick do we want this ring to be? Well, actually, this is just, Yeah. I'm trying to think of, like, do I want to make this like a realistic dimension? Because I oversized it a little bit. No, I'll just leave it as is. I'll leave it as is. So that's fine. Finish sketch. We're going to extrude, click it, and going to be about, so again, I'm just measuring the length from about here to about here, just roughly where I want my handle to be. It doesn't, so not really the full length of the thermos. And I'm going to say about, make a nice 170 will be even. 170 will be cool. Okay, very high tech. Okay. So far, so good. So now we have a reference to work off of here. I'm going to go back to our overall thing, make a new component, just call this rings. And we'll work on the rings now. So obviously we'll just start with the one on the bottom. Now we want to project this onto our current sketch. So I'm going to hit P for that and just click on this guy. So that gives me this purple circle on my sketch, right? Which references the cylinder. Camera, we want perspective with ortho faces. There we go. All right, so go back to bottom. So that's actually going to be the inner of my ring. So remember, I oversized this in the CAD already. So so we're fine with just referencing this outside dimension as our inside of the ring. And then I just got to think of how thick I want this ring to be. So I'm just going to visualize that. Usually, it's great to have calipers with you and just kind of, I'm just kind of visualizing about how thick I want this bumper to be. We don't want it to be too crazy. Maybe about 15 millimeters, I guess. So we have two ways of doing that. I could do another circle. I think actually though, I'm just going to do an offset of this inner circle, which will keep things kind of clean. So I'll just do that and make it 15. Now, if I were doing this like for real, professionally, I may go here and actually make parameters for this, so I can just type them in and change parameters and this thing will change. But we're just doing what I like to refer to as 3D sketching. So we're not being super professional today. All right, so again, now I got to think of how tall I want this thing to be. I actually want them to be fairly tall. I think, is 30 too much? I'm thinking 30. Let's pretty tall, but we'll see what it looks like. The good thing about this is it's all history and parametric, so we can change it on a whim if it looks clunky to us later. So I'm just going to do extrude. This direction, 30. Negative 30. Come on, buddy. New body. Make sure that it's not being joined, and that's fine. So it looks clunky as hell, right? We're of course going to later put fillets on it. I may slim this down a little bit. It looks pretty clunky to me, actually. Even if I do put fillets on it or chamfers, it's going to look a little chunky. Yeah, let's slim it down a bit. I'm going to edit the sketch, maybe make this 10. That's probably more realistic. And trying to decide if I want that ring to be as tall too. The thinner we make it, then it's going to look chunky again. I think we're just going to leave it for now. I think that's probably fine. Yeah, I'm all right with it. We're going to roll with that. Okay, so easy part's done. I got to figure out how I'm going to do the handle now. So I guess my idea is I'll probably hide this guy. I'll probably sketch the handle where I want it to be. And then when I'm done, we'll kind of duplicate the rings. Maybe I'll duplicate the rings now. I don't know. We don't need to worry about it now. But yeah, I'll probably duplicate the rings and then subtract one from the other, and then maybe push those surfaces out a little bit to allow a little bit of slop, and that will be it. So yeah, let's just do that. Simple enough. Okay, so we're going to make a new component. Just call this handle. So our ring here, just make the ring a little bit, make it see-through for now, just so I can visualize the handle and it at the same time. So, how to do the handle? How to do the handle? I think I want to do... Let me turn that back. That's going to bother me. I am actually going to make a parameter here. User parameter. Let's add one and just call this ring height. I forget what we made that. What did we make that? negative 30. Made it 30. Hello? Why you be a bastard? What just happened? Come on now. Edit feature. Negative. Ring height. Okay. Cool. So all I did was change, I created basically a variable and assigned it 30 millimeters, and then assign that to the extrude up here on this ring. That way when I create the handle, I can reference that too, and if I want to change the height of that ring, it'll actually flow through to the handle as well. That's the theory, at least. Yeah, so that's the idea. Go back to the handle. Hey America, what's up? Welcome to me just talking to myself and goofing around here. What I'm doing is just making basically a handle for my thermos here. Nothing like super, super high tech. So I'm just kind of goofing around. How you been, dude? All right, so the handle. You know what? I actually want to make a parameter for the other thing too. Do I need to make a parameter for that? Yeah, it's probably good. Modify. Cool. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I kind of do that all the time, like a crazy person. So I figured since I'm talking to myself anyway, I might as well do it to a live stream. Anyway, so I want to make the handle now. So the handle's got to kind of conform to this same shape here. So I may, and it's going to basically hug the thermos. It's got to be, of course, less thick than this thing. And it's going to have to be like a wedge shape down here, so it'll wedge into this ring later. So, not sure what I'm doing with it yet. Trying to visualize how I want to do it. I could do two sketches. Do an inner and outer circle down here and chop it. An inner and outer circle here and chop it. And then I can do a loft between the two, and that'll keep the round shape, and I can do a wedge shape at the same time. Kind of thinking that's what I want to do. I think that's what I'm going to be doing. Yeah, that sounds cool. What the hell? Let's give it a shot. All right, so we're on the rings. We want to be on the handle component. And let's start up here. So this will be the thicker one. All right, so basically we'll just project this guy. So again, this inner circle here is basically this surface here, but I actually, in CAD already, I already oversized it a little bit, so I don't really need to offset off of this to allow any, hey, what's up, Julia? So basically I don't need to offset anything already, because it's already kind of done in my reference. So that's cool. So we've projected that. Now we need a outer one. So we're going to do an offset of this guy. So we're going to do O for offset. I'm going to click on him. Now we can be fancy about this because we know the thickness of our ring, right? Because we have ring thick parameter. So we could do that and then subtract, say, 5 millimeters or 3 millimeters. Yeah, we'll subtract, say, we can even do less than that. Subtract about 2 millimeters from that. So now if we change our parameters later down the road, everything will flow, right? So we'll always just be 2 millimeters away from the maximum. Miss Julia. How are you doing today, Julia? You working on anything? Or just laughing at your husband as he takes apart his PC and can't get it back together again? Okay, so anyway, so we got the inner and outer diameters here set. Now we just basically have to either create parallel lines that wedge this off, or we can do from the center here and chop it that way. Does it matter? I mean, it's obviously going to change the profile of the handle a little bit. And we'll just do an offset. What the hell? We'll just do, we'll keep them parallel for now, I suppose. So I'm going to do a line. I'm going to press X to switch it to just a reference type thing. And I'm actually just going to make it extended here. Okay, so now I can do an offset of this. Click this guy, press X again to make it a, oops. Press X, do offset, and oh, that's great. Glad he's got it working. That's kind of like replacing a brain. For anybody who doesn't know, Julia's husband is the infamous WP guru, also known as Jay vs. Lewis. But I guess he had a motherboard issue and actually swapped out motherboards on one of his machines today. So of course, along with all the hardware issues you also have the fact that, you know, Windows probably freaks out because everything is new all of a sudden. Yeah, Julia, what I'm doing right now is I've got this coffee container thermos type thing made by Zoji Urushi, but it's real thin because it's one of those vacuum ones, so it's just thin metal, like thin metal on the inside and outside separated by a layer of vacuum in between, which actually works super well. But the problem is it's very fragile, right? It's very thin. So I just wanted to make a handle for it and also like some kind of bumper so that if it bumps against things, it's probably going to land and hit those bumpers first. So I'm just making basically like 2 rings here and then a handle that goes between it, and everything's just going to wedge together. So there's actually, it's hard to see, but this actually flares out. So the ring's going to slide down and stop here. The handle will wedge into it, and then a top ring will come and wedge into that, and this will screw back on. So it's just going to be held together by friction, by just being wedged. That's the theory, or hope at least. Yeah, so anyway, that's what I'm doing. Let's go back to desktop. Excuse me, being a pig here. So I could be fancy and make a parameter for the width of the handle, but I don't think I'm going to bother because it's not really going to be referenced against anything else. So we'll just make do here. How thick do I want my handle? What's a good handle thickness? Just kind of looking at it. I got calipers here and I'm just trying to judge about how we don't want to be too crazy. We'll say 24. 24 sounds good, so we'll do 12 in each direction. Then offset, -12. So I know this looks completely ugly, but oops. So basically what I'm doing is I just made, just get this out of the way. So all I did is basically make this section in a sketch. So the idea is I make this section in a sketch. I'm going to do something similar down below, but it's going to be thinner. And I'll connect the two with a loft, and that'll be my wedge shape. That's the theory, at least. Again, this is what I kind of call 3D sketching. I don't have a grand plan in my mind right now. I'm just kind of going along step by step, and if something screws up, then I just backtrack and do something else. So anyway, so we got that sketch. That's cool. I'm actually going to just make that invisible for now. I guess I could call this ring wide. I'm usually pretty lazy and don't name my sketches, but I'll act professional since I'm on TV right now. All right, so we're going to do a similar thing to that on the bottom surface. You know what? Escape, abort, abort. I'm actually thinking I'm going to make a parameter for that handle width after all, because I want it to be the same on the top and bottom rings, and I may change it so it's just easier. So we'll call this handle width, and make that, what was it? I don't even remember anymore. It was 24, I believe, right? Click OK. We're going to go back into this guy. Make this negative handle width divided by 2. Make handle width divided by 2. All right. So we made those, basically we made those into variables so that I can just reference and change them later if need be. Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, the wonderful thing about this is if it doesn't feel right, I 3D print it and it seems wrong, I just change it, print out another one, right? Alrighty, so let's just do another sketchy dude down here. Make sure I'm working in the same place, which I'm not. Okay, cool. So project inner ring, offset. Now I'm just going to do an offset off of that of, say, 5. No. 3 as well. Yeah, that works. Do a line. Offset this by the handle width divided by 2. Offset this by negative handle width divided by 2. Finish that. And that again gives us this profile. Cool. I think I am, Amerga, because I'm basically I mean, everything is hammered down with the sketches right now. They're locked in with the center point of the 0, reference point. I think I'm actually fine. Okay, so handle, we're going to make our ring invisible for now. And let's just do a loft between the two. Loft from you to loft from you. And we definitely want a new body. Click OK. Cool, so there's our handle wedge shape. Ring. But I hear what you're saying. I usually try to keep them fully defined. But I am being a little bit loosey-goosey right now because, like I said, I'm just doing what I call 3D sketching. So I guess we can be fancy here and just mirror this dude. Actually, let's just give this a name. Let's do mirror bodies, this body, mirror plane. Oh. Yep. Let's see. Go back to Zojirushi. Is that what that was? Yeah. What I'm doing is I just defined the Thermos height as a variable. I'm making a reference plane in the center of that to be my mirror plane so that I could just mirror this guy up top. At least that's what my sleep-deprived brain is telling me to do right now. Cool. Now we got our two handle parts. Yeah, I hear you, Marga. And if something goes wrong, then we just adjust it in the history or whatever. I mean, this isn't a super sophisticated thing right now. Not too worried about it. Okie dokie. So there's our thermos, there's our two handle parts. So now we want to do something to connect those two. Yeah, it's nothing that impressive. I thought it'd be interesting for some of you to see, though. I know a lot of my viewers do like surface modeling in Blender and stuff like that. So it's kind of I'm sure it's interesting to see what CAD workflow looks like, because it's a completely different thought process and everything, you know. It's great for mechanical parts, though. So now we got to think of how we want to create, basically link this to this in a handle shape. And just like anything else, there's a million ways to do it. I may try to do it with lofts. I don't normally do lofts much because they blow up and don't work. I'm not sure. I think I'll just drink some tea and think about it. Oh boy. So, how do I want to connect point A to point B? That is the question of the day. I know what I can do, because we have the same profile here and here. I can just basically create a path Yeah, let's try that. We can do a path between the two and then do a sweep. So basically, you just create a path, right? Like a shape, and then you can make this follow that path, and we can connect to this to that. I think that'll work, and that'll allow me to easily adjust the shape of the handle. That sounds cool. Let's try that. What the hell? Let's just save my version. So, yeah, let's try it. Let's try it. We are still on the handle. Just going to make a sketch off of the bottom one. And here's where Amerga is going to really yell at me, because I'm definitely not going to fully define these guys, probably. So we have two different, I'm going to do splines. We can do, you know what? Yeah. Yep. I can do fit points. I can do control points. I'm just thinking, though, whatever I want to do, I actually want it to be mirrored, though, right? Don't I? Kind of do. Maybe I don't care. I don't know. Let's just play around. I'm just gonna goof around. I actually kind of like control point splines, especially if you're going to define them. So fit point splines are like you put the points and then they have those traditional handles that you can stretch out and move around. It attaches to each point, which kind of adjusts like the amount of influence it has on the curve. Control points are a little bit different. I'm just going to do a normal fit point, I think, for now. Oh, man, I don't actually do splines much. Let's see. I want this to be mirrored, though. I don't know. What do you suggest, Amerga? Spline Sunday. I'll tell you what. Let me, before I do a spline here, I'm just going to project our two guys here. Check this whole thing. Hey, Guru, what's going on? I'm being completely ghetto right now, but I just need just basically making a center line, because I kind of want to just mirror this. So whatever, I don't want to do a spline and just have it different from top to bottom. Yeah. Yeah, possibly. I don't know. All right. Let's spline it. Could be as simple as that. Could be as simple as that. I think it may stick out a little much. I'm not sure. Give it a shot. Sweepies. So profile is this guy. Path is this guy and this guy. Parallel. Actually, let's do that differently. Let's do perpendicular. It's pretty cool workflow. Of course, you know, you got the problem here. I can either choose to keep that, you know, it's trying to keep the extrude parallel, or I can have it perpendicular to that curve, but then it's not joining here because I did it on this outside line instead of this inside line, and then I got to figure out how to make that join to that. I could it's always something, right? say something. All right, I got it. I got what I'll do. I know what I'll do. Don't panic, everybody. We're okay. We'll make this. We'll make this work. We're gonna cheese it. Cheese it. Oops. La 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 la. What am I doing? A sweep. You. And then you. And we'll only go to 0.9. Okay. And then we'll just do a loft between the two, and nobody will ever know the difference. Boom. Done. Look at that. She's beautiful. Yep. Cheese It Sunday. But it looks nice. She's a fancy thing. Cool. So that's good. I actually like that. I like that a lot. And then, of course, if we'd have our rings, and we'd have to make that. We'd have to subtract one from the other. So, of course, we want this. We don't want sharp edges on here. So now that we've got the main thing created, we make it a slick product. And a slick product just means you add a bunch of fillets to everything. So yeah, I didn't think you were going to like that. Didn't think you were going to like that. Yeah. All right. Be that way. Yeah, I could add a 0Calvin logo, but I am not going to. Man, how am I going to do this now, Mr. Merga? I'm going to put a fillet in here, but of course it doesn't want to do it because it's joined to this, right? Hey, wait a minute. Did I accidentally... Actually, why isn't that working? Oh, because I'm stopping early? Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll work. It's just because I was stopping it early. That's fine. basically to add to this, I'm holding down Control and then clicking and not adding to my selection. Oops. There we go. Fancy. I like it. So let's do the same for the rings. So go back to the rings component. And we'll do a fillet. So theoretically, for 3D printing, it's usually nicer to use chamfers than fillets. So chamfers are just like, you know, angles. So you do like a 45-degree chamfer. And the reason for that is because, say I'm 3D printing this guy. If I would 3D print it. Let me just hide this stuff real quick here. So if I were to 3D print this, I would lay this down on the build plate, right? And it would start from the bottom and print up. If I put a chamfer here, just exaggerate it, we have an overhang, but it's manageable. Like 3D printers can do overhangs of about 45 degrees. Any more than that, and they're trying to print the next layer over air, right? So that doesn't really work real well. So the best thing to do here would be a chamfer. So that's the normal thing to do. If you do a fillet, so fillets are round, right? So if you do that, if you notice, because it's round, it starts off at an extreme overhang angle and then gets better and better. So these first few layers print like really crappy because they're trying to print like, you know, out like that over kind of thin air. There's not a lot of overlap for the layers to, you know, they'd have the layers, instead of just sitting on top of each other like this, you know, 45 degrees, they would just kind of overlap by half. But if you have an extreme angle, they have to just barely touch each other as they're going up. So it doesn't really work that well. With the printers I have now, I can print like support material and stuff that mitigates that. And I'd really prefer it to be round. So I'm going to do that and do fillets anyway and be kind of like not really designed for manufacturing to make it easy, which I normally wouldn't do, but I'm doing it for myself. So let's see. So let's bring my handle back. So we'll do a fillet. Of 1. Yeah, it works for me. And Mr. Mirror. Now, theoretically, I don't actually have to create this top part. Actually, I'm not going to bother. Because it's the same as the bottom one, right? We're just going to duplicate it. And I guess we can do it so we can check the aesthetics. Maybe I'll leave it. But we don't technically have to design it because we only do it once, right? But I'm just mirroring it anyway, so it's not like it's really any extra effort. So that's our snazzy thing. Now we can decide if we want to thicken this or thin this, or if we like the looks of it. I mean, it does look a little beefy. So again, this isn't the full thermos right here. This is actually just the section from about here to about here. So of course, the rest of the thermos is going to like stick up above this area here. I'm just going to save where I'm at. We could theoretically mess around with the thickness of this, the ring thickness. We'll let Amerga laugh at me when everything goes bad. So ring thickness. So if I were to make that 8 instead, boop, hey, it thins out. Look at that, it worked. So just to show you, if I made that 20, we can make it a really chunky boy. Didn't actually completely work. Oh, my sweeps, because I'd have to redefine my sweeps because it's so dramatically different. It actually ended up being a different area, but that's fine. I don't want to do that anyway. I do like 8 though. I think that's a little slicker. Cool, I like it. So now all I got to do is subtract out the handle from these guys. So I'm on rings, modify, and to subtract things, of course, you use combine because, yeah, that makes sense, right? So target bodies are going to be this guy and this guy, and the tool, no. This, oh, you won't, oh, I guess because it's mirrored. I gotcha. So we don't actually have to do that. Gotcha. Hopefully that's the case. I guess it doesn't matter so much because I'm only going to use the bottom one anyway. Now the tool bodies, we want this. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to cut. And I want to keep my tools, which my tool is my handle. Don't give me that. Don't be a baby. Don't be a baby. Why are you being a baby? We'll try this again. Why are you being an ass nugget? Yeah, that's true. That's a good idea, Amerga. Any idea why this thing's being a... Oh, because they're in separate components? Is that why? Is that why it's doing that? I guess they have to be in the same component for me to subtract them? Is that the deal? I thought this would work. I think maybe they have to be in the same component though. Is that true? Yeah, I don't know. I should know that. Let's just cancel that for now. I'm in the ring, which is the thing I'm doing. Let's hide that. And we're going to hide the ring top because I don't really care. And I should be able to do combine. Actually, should be able to pick that and then pick that, and it should work. Okay, so it doesn't. So now what do? We cry. Not going to let me just cheat like that, are you? There we go. I'll just move him into the same component as the ring. Just see if that helps. Doop. Doop. No, it's still being a... That's so weird. Why? For why? Why you forsake me? Why? That's so messed up. Come on, Fusion. That should just work. All right. Well, we're not going to cry about it, are we? No, we're not. We're going to do this. I'm just going to undo, put him back where he needs to be. I've got a super, super easy way to do this, which is simply to, I'm going to hide my handle. We're in the rings. I'm going to go back to my sketches. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that because it's the inside is the same, but it really shouldn't matter. I don't like that it does. But it's fine, because I'm just going to what am I doing? It's fine. I'm just going to go up here to the full dude so I can see everything. I've got my sketches here anyway, so all I have to do is do a loft between the two and subtracted out and have basically accomplished the same thing. So done. Was that so hard now, Fusion? It really wasn't. I'm not really worried about the top one because I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to print one because it's the same thing flipped. But we're done. Ta-da! Woo! Hey, Nancy's. You just woke up and I'm just done pretty much, unfortunately. But thanks for the thumbs up. I wasn't doing anything super exciting. I basically have this thermos here and wanted to create a handle system for it. So all I did was just designed it in Fusion 360 and kind of goofed around. So the way it's designed is, let me just collapse this stuff. So the way it's designed is we've got these wedge shapes here. So the ring will just slide in down to the bottom here. Then the handle's just going to wedge into it because it has this wedge shape. And then the top one wedges into the top of the handle, and that's it. It's just held in by wedginess. That's the theory, at least. So that's it. I'll probably end this and actually, well, we could theoretically keep it going and move it into 3D printing. I'm not sure. Oh, you might stream today, Jay, that's cool. How long will it take to print? That's a good question. I'm not sure. I could tell you as soon as I slice the model. That, of course, is on a different computer. It's on my laptop. I'll probably actually end this. The printing isn't going to be... I may do a separate live stream, just the camera on the printer, so you guys can watch it as it prints. It'll probably take... I'm not going to do... It doesn't need to be like super duper high resolution. I can print relatively fast, except I have to decide what kind of plastic I'm going to make it out of. It's not going to be regular PLA because that tends to warp and stuff with heat, and it's just not super... I'd rather use more of an engineering material. I might actually be a crazy person and use carbon fiber filled polycarbonate, because why not overdo things? It'll look real nice though, and it'll be super tough and stiff, and I'll probably use PLA as an interface between the supports and it, so that I can keep the fillets nice and everything. But that'll print slower, so I'm thinking it'll probably take, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours to print, maybe longer, I'm not sure. But anyway, we're just gonna keep basic black, I think, Jay. Do I have something that I printed with that stuff? I think this. Probably probably going to just be this material, so just like a matte black stuff, which of course will go with that just fine. Yeah, carbon fiber polycarbonate, because why not, right? Yep. The brand I have of CFPC actually prints really, really well. I've actually had success with it printing without even an enclosure and stuff like that. I think it's probably a polycarbonate blend, to be honest. But it does work really well and prints nice. So anyway, guys, thanks a lot for hanging out. This was just very spontaneous. I'll try to do these from time to time. It's fun to just goof around with y'all, and it was nice to, you know, I was able to talk to myself without feeling like I'm talking to myself. So that's cool, right? I'll see you later. I'll start a new stream in a bit, probably in about 5 or 10 minutes. I'm just going to slice this model, and I'll start my printer up, and you guys can watch it print. So cheers.